We opened a Bitcoin center in, oh my God, what's that? Monkeys. We opened a Bitcoin center, the first live cryptocurrency exchange in 2013, right next to the New York Stock Exchange, about 100 feet. And, we felt a lot of that. Whatever he was talking about, that's par for the course. These guys they're entitled to all their systems, the old guard. Here it is. That's the Bitcoin Center, 2013. Opened it up with my friends. I'm an activist. I'm not a Wall Street guy. I don't know anything about I didn't know anything about Wall Street. I learned everything the hard way. I worked for Dr. Ron Paul with my friends. We opened the Bitcoin Center, the first live cryptocurrency exchange, 100 feet from the New York Stock Exchange. I did it as a protest. I knew, because in the past I built other apps and other things, and I knew, I'm done. I built many things, and the adoption was very difficult, right? To get people to adopt your technology was very difficult to do. Unlike the AI right now. It knows every keystroke, Watch what you're typing, I guess. I don't know. So I said, hey, there's the great technology. I'm a technologist. I built a computer in 1978. And with a soldering iron. It was a Heath kit. You bought the kit and you soldered it. And then I discovered girls and fast cars. It took Gates like 40 years or 30 years to discover those girls later. But this was a protest. Me, Steve, Austin Alexander, Hamdan, Azar, the Black Rock whistleblower now, and Alan Stevo, the Ron Paul crew. We opened it up, and we stood there waiting to get arrested because we knew that it was a better technology, it was transparency, and those guys in the smoke-filled back rooms would figure out what the price of bread was 10 years from then, so we had to fight. We opened up blockchain centers. There's a lot of them missing there, all over the place, Dubai, all over. Because education's first. You have to educate the people, or else they get scammed. And then they say, oh, that's a bad technology, but it's really that they didn't understand anything. I had the AI make these slides, so they're pretty fascinating. Oh yeah, I built a chain. It's a fork of a few things, say, and Cosmo and a couple other things. There's an EVM. We have 200,000 transactions a second. Testnet's up. Cryptos.com, cryptos.com or cryptos.com. It's pretty cool. We got an on-chain order book. That should have been later. But anyway, we got all this stuff. Take a picture. So I believe that Africa is the most true to Bitcoin and to crypto than anywhere else because they actually use it as money all day. Over here, they get the crypto, they get their Bitcoin, they're investing, they're holding it, they're staring at it, they're figuring out when they're going to sell it. Over there, they're using it all day because their money is so off the ledge. I had to throw that in there. Sovereignty is going to be a very difficult thing, folks. I always say things that are like the parakeet that says the world's going to end, I'm not, when I believe the world's going to end, I'm not even going to tell you guys, so I'm not saying anything this time. Because I see many, I can foresee with AI, you're going to go online on social media and you're going to be courted by beautiful women or men or whatever, and you're going to have incredible conversation with them, interact with them, and they're not even going to be real. It's going to be like 100 million fake people on there. And I'm just thinking about just that part of it and how that's going to affect us. I mean, you're going to have history wiped out. You're going to have the AI is going to sit there, and when it speaks to you, it might even use conversational, Ericksonian conversational hypnosis. I don't know if you know what that is, we can look it up. and they have all these tricks, and they hypnotize people, but that was for therapeutic purposes. I'm not sure, and I'm not worried about the sentient AI. I'm worried about, the jerk that gets his hands on controlling the AI, not like, ChatGPT. I don't really use ChatGPT, so I'm not telling you to never use ChatGPT. I'm never telling you that. Revolution. Yeah. Well, that's true. So we're at a point in the world right now. We're at a point that I don't think any other time in history has it been so important for us, individuals. When you look in the mirror in the morning, that's you. It's about, it sounds a little conceited to me. I'm like, what am I, a narcissist? Is it real? Well, I probably am. But is it really now that all this is happening and you got all these non-player characters out there? Like, I'm not saying that any of you are non-player characters, but I can't see you moving around. So, like I said, so many generations have been driven into the ground through centralization and beat to the ground and worked to the bone and never experienced, happiness or abundance or anything. Meanwhile, we weren't really made to do all this work. You're supposed to sit around by the river, grab a banana, eat it, hang around. But because of how, some people are more active than others, they want to control other people, like the people who get into politics. I know all about that. I was senior advisor to 5 presidential races and hundreds of other races. I was one of the first guys who had data in politics. And, the people who like to get into politics, they want to run your life. They want to control you. Like, we're trying to decentralize everything. They want to centralize everything. So if you think they're not going to use the AI to figure out how to control the CBDCs, like this guy, Fink, just now at the World Economic Forum, what did he say? He says, he's not using CBDC. They're not using CBDC anymore. They're going to say, tokenization, and the central bank should look at tokenization and digitization very carefully. And then we'll figure out what's going to happen to the dollar. So you got to pay close attention to that, because Trump himself said we're not going to have any CBDCs, central bank digital currency. But yet you see this guy Fink on there, and he's like twisting the words up, and he's sitting there trying to communicate that this is going to happen. And frankly, I was afraid everything I was watching on the World Economic Forum. I don't know about you guys. You see, the AI fucked around. This was supposed to be the first slide. See? So, I like this because it explains that, yes, right now, you have Trump and people in the administration that are saying that they want to try to get rid of the income tax. Well, it wasn't Trump and the people in the administration, it was us. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about how the money's valueless and you're sending it all over the world and then you're trying to take it from us. But the reality is, if you look at this thing here, you got a printing press, it's making all kinds of money, as much as they want. And you, as a trained monkey, you have to go around and collect these pieces of paper, cotton and linen, whatever, that come out of this machine and give a third or whatever back to them every year. So these guys are printing willy-nilly whatever they want. You got to pick it up and give it back to them at the end of the year, or they put you in a cage. So to me, I never understood that. That's why they keep auditing me. She said I was going to make her famous, the auditor. I don't know what that means. I can only imagine. The digitization of control. These guys, they always think they know better than us. They always think that they have the answers, and they think they're the big geniuses. But the reality is their position is there so they can save our freedom. They're there to protect our freedoms, not to figure out how to eavesdrop on us. I mean, the Fourth Amendment says you can't go and search someone's house without a search warrant. These guys have all the data. Now, not even do they have the data now, but with the AI, they're going to even predict what you're going to write before you even write it. The thing's sitting there, figuring out, anticipating what you're going to do. And the more data that shows up on you, if you don't decentralize that or hide yourself from it, I think it's bad news altogether. So it's a bad time. I have here the Panopticon. That's a jail where they look into every cell. Oh, I'm very upset. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So before centralization, everyone was living by the river. Then you had centralization. They built the pyramids. I got disgusted when I saw the pyramids. I go, what the heck is this? If the aliens didn't make it, which I don't know, I don't think so. A lot of people died because some guy's ego, so he can make a big tomb if that's what it is. And that's centralization. And then this guy here learned how to get everyone to work. Rings a bell, you go to work. Rings a bell, you go to work. You go to school when you're a little kid, they ring the bell, you go to class. So this whole thing is ridiculous. Listen, I don't know how to explain it. I'm going to try. I've been fighting since 1991 against centralization, against the central bank, the Federal Reserve. Every day, I don't even know what year it is right now. It's 2016, right? I can't even do the math. I'm so rocked. Every day I get up, and it's my prime directive to figure out how to educate people on what's to come and what is affecting their lives. And people just don't listen. A lot of people don't listen. They're listening now, and I think that the time might have come to the moment now that we're at a place where maybe people understand what taxes are. They didn't exist before 2013. We did fine. They start printing the fake money, then it exists. When they needed it, it didn't exist. All the wars are funded with fake money. Before that, you had to buy a bond. It was like a vote. You bought a bond, a war bond, and then we had money for war. But now they'll just print whatever they want, give the money to their friends at the Pentagon, and keep going. So I tell the story about my mom, out of respect for her and what it's made me. It's made me very powerful. We moved to a new school, and it was all like whiter than me people, and it was a blessing. And they used to beat me up and call me bad names, and I'd come home all beat up, and my mother would go to the principal and say, hey, why are they beating up my son? My son has a broken nose, he has scars on his face. What's going on over there? He goes, oh, they're just kids playing. And one day I beat up the bully, and then he has me in the principal's office waiting for the principal for my mom to show up. She shows up. He's like, oh, your son, we're going to send him to reform school on the short bus with a helmet. He beat up a kid. And my mother said, well, the word is Spanos, right? This is what she said to me later. Spanos doesn't exist in English. A lot of things don't exist in English. Many kings have had their way with English, so you wouldn't be able to do and think what you could think, right? It's called Newspeak. I don't know if you read Aldous Huxley's. Well, that was, George Orwell, 1984, and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. But we happen to be living even past that because they couldn't even imagine the artificial intelligence and what it can be done against us. So Spanos is courage, bravery, grit, self-actualization, right? It's your ability to move forward, right? Through the world, affecting the world, and changing the things in your path and going in the direction you want to go. It's called Spanos. We don't have that in English. So my mother said to the principal, because what do you say here? My boy is going where? They beat him up every day. She said, if I tell my brother what you say, you're not going to make it to tomorrow, which means, she threatened his life. I was a little kid. I was like, holy shit, my mom's threatening the principal's life with her brother, and her brother died in 1960. She didn't even have her brother. And then when we're walking out, and the principal said, oh, everything's going to be fine. I'll get more people on the playground. Everything's going to be fine. When we're walking out, she said to me, don't let anyone take your Spanos. Don't let anyone take your Spanos. If you don't if something feels bad to you, it's probably bad. You got a lot of things going on. It's not just your internal dialogue. in your brain, you know? You got a lot of information moving around without an internal dialogue. And then you get to feel things, and you're like, well, I don't know. And you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and you justify it with your internal dialogue, or you try to change it a little bit thinking that you're going to do better. And the same thing happens. So trust your instinct. We need the soldier. We need you guys. You see, the AI fucked up. Anyway, that's the same chain. He said, a beast you don't become. See, these are the things my father would tell me and my mother would tell me growing up. These are ancient Greek things, and I don't know if you know, the Spartans had fought all of Darius's men with millions of people. I don't know, that's what they say. There was only 300 in between the cliffs, and they couldn't surround them because it was a cliff, so they only fought a few to a few. And they did pretty well, and they, the main thing they said was molon lave, which means, you know, Darius said, hey, give us your, it was Xerxes, said, hey, give us your weapons, we'll let you go. And they said, come and get them. So these were pretty brave guys. And this thing was named Theriodhen Yines and Theriodhen Tros, which is a beast you will never become until you eat beasts. I've been saying it for a long time. The Federal Reserve, since 1991, I've been fighting the Federal Reserve when I figured out that I lost all my money and became a commercial fisherman because of the Federal Reserve. And I think you guys, you know, everyone wants to get rich, and of course, you're going to get rich. Believe me, you'll get rich. Just keep working, you're going to get rich. But the whole thing is you have to be brave. So if you're going to fight this beast, right, in your life, you have to conquer these beasts in your life, and you have to feel strong enough to do it, you know? And I see a lot of people they were not, especially, well, people in this audience are about to feel the incredible, inevitable, wonderful future where we actually win and they kill the income tax and then they kill the real estate tax because, what, you rent the property? No, you don't rent the property. You know, you're renting it from the government. These old people lose their properties, they lose their houses. You know, this whole thing is ridiculous because people allow the politicians to dictate your thoughts. Now we have these people fighting all over the place, and it's all of a sudden it's political. You can't even look at the video correctly, right? Something happens in the news. One guy's on the left, one guy's on the right. They're explaining the video the way that party would like the results to be. And to me, the whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, do we have to lose ourselves? How are we going to be sovereign if we're part of these groups? You have to be yourself. You have to stand tall. I'm standing tall. All early Bitcoiners, they called us thieves and, not thieves, they called us drug dealers and money launderers and all that. Now they're trying to take over and say that they were there first. We've always been correct. The good people are here in this room. And I believe, you know, you got to do it for your kids, all the way down to the rest of our reality. I don't know how long that's going to be. But you got to stay vigilant. This is the only moment, I think, in humanity that all this weight is on our shoulders. Believe me, a lot of things are going to come. I always see the future. I built the first Airbnb, no more hotels, and get a room back in 1995. I built Livery Cab 4 years before the smartphone with SMS. That was the first Uber. I built the first live cryptocurrency exchange. I'm not saying it to impress you. I'm saying it to impress upon you that for some reason, the future makes sense to me, and it shows up. So I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to explain it. I'm having a hard time. Hopefully, after you think about what I said, it motivates you to move forward and get what you need, get what you deserve. Not just, what's that song? Can't always get what you want. You get what you need. Get what you want. Thank you.